Let's take a look at ASW from a historical perspective by going back to World War I. By the end of the war, almost 3,000 Allied ships, 175 warships, and 2,825 merchant ships, were sunk by enemy submarines. During World War II, enemy subs sank almost twice as many ships as the U.S. Navy now has altogether. The number of souls lost to subs was almost twice as many as were lost in Vietnam. Churchill said of the Battle of the Atlantic, "The only thing that ever really frightened me during the war was the U-boat peril."
Air escort to Greyhound. You will now be out of range of air cover for the next 5 days. Safe travels to England.
We have hits directly on the convoy.
The Wolfpack's haunting us.
U-boat starboard bound!
In 48 hours, we've lost 7 ships and 50 souls.
The Mid-Atlantic was an unopposed shooting gallery until long-range patrol aircraft were introduced. That, along with deciphering the Enigma machine, German subs were now the target. In the early 60s, the US and the Soviet Union launched nuclear submarines with nuclear missiles, and the threat to the homeland increased exponentially. Long-range Soviet submarine-launched ballistic missiles could hit almost any target in the U.S. With 46 SSBNs prowling the world's oceans, the U.S. Navy is challenged in its responsibility to keep track of them. Our most adversarial navies, North Korea, China, Russia, and Iran, have a numerical advantage. However, the U.S. has the technical advantage in most cases. Unfortunately, all submarines carry torpedoes which can cause significant damage if not detected and destroyed before using them. This is the Soviet Typhoon ballistic missile submarine, the largest submarine ever built. It is almost twice the size of the U.S. Ohio-class SSBN, yet carries fewer missiles. The hunt for Red October was based on this submarine and made many people aware of its destructive power. 4 were built but only one is still in service as a missile test platform. Notice the size of the sailors on deck and the size of the aircraft carrier in the background. Imagine what devastation would occur if these subs were to unleash their massive firepower. It would be a nuclear Armageddon. The P-3 is a modification of the Lockheed Electra, L-188. Several Electra crashes caused the entire aircraft industry to investigate these horrendous crashes. All manufacturers joined together to find the fatal flaw.
And just as I looked out the window, the engine went. As the prop came off, I thought, oh crap, it's going to kill me. It's going to cut me in two. But it flew forward, and then it came back and slapped the engine, and then went underneath.
The prop tears a hole in the bottom of the plane. The gash in the fuselage has caused an explosive decompression.
The fatal flaw was found after farmers mentioned that their hounds howled at the same time, because the prop tips were exceeding the speed of sound. The engineers determined the cause to be whirl mode flutter. When the prop's high pressure crossed the wing at the same time, a destructive resonance caused the wing to break off. The P-3 wing was strengthened by adding 1,400 pounds of wing spars and adding 3 more engine mounts on each engine. Therefore, the wing doesn't bend and it makes a very rough ride for the crew in certain conditions. When a sub leaves port, the first detection is usually by spy satellites, human intelligence, or visual sightings. As the sub gets into open water, SOSUS comes into play. Sonar, radar, and ESM from other ships, subs, and aircraft are also initial sensors. SOSUS correlates, coordinates, and triangulates all data from the 9 Pacific NAVFACs. There is a similar system for the Atlantic. Prior to John Walker's treason in 1967, this top-secret system was very effective as detecting Soviet submarines due to their loud noise and lack of appreciation of that fact. SOSUS was the sensor system that detected the last moments of the Thresher, Scorpion, and the Soviet Gulf II northwest of Hawaii. The Glomar Explorer was the Howard Hughes ship used to recover some of the sub. To this day we don't know how much was actually recovered. So how do we locate submarines from the air? When a large area of probability is established, P-3s are sent to search, detect, localize, track, and be prepared to destroy enemy subs. This is done by radar, ESM, FLIR, and sonobuoys. The typical crew consists of 3 pilots, 2 naval flight officers, 2 flight engineers, 1 radar, ESM, FLIR, and MAD operator, 2 acoustic operators, 1 ordnanceman, 1 radio operator, and 1 in-flight tech. Coordination of the entire crew is the responsibility of the tactical coordinator, and the mission commander is responsible for the success of the mission. The pilots are responsible for safety of flight. The buoys, torpedoes, missiles, depth bombs, and mines are the ordnanceman's job, and the radio operator communicates with other aircraft and ashore stations. The primary mission is anti-submarine warfare. Other missions include anti-surface warfare, search and rescue, by dropping SAR kits and coordination with surface and ground stations, mining harbors and choke points, bombing land targets, medical evacuations, and ice patrols. The first buoy deployed is used to determine ocean data for the best hydrophone depth. The TACCO then launches LOFAR buoys in a pattern to initially detect the sub. Once the sub is detected, DIFAR buoys are used for direction to the target. When the target is tracked and very close to the pattern, active buoys are used to determine range. When certain criteria are met, MAD is used to accurately attack the submarine with a torpedo. MAD is short for Magnetic Anomaly Detector. Large ferrous objects such as a submarine interfere with the Earth's magnetic field. Since the aircraft is largely metal, the MAD detector must be far from the fuselage. As the aircraft flies above the sub, an operator sees the swing of a needle and notifies the crew. The MAD boom is used to very accurately determine the position of a submarine. However, it has a very limited detection range. Therefore, the aircraft has to be very low for detection, sometimes as low as 100 feet. The South China Sea is one of the most serious military and naval flashpoints in the world. China has built harbors, airfields, radar installations, communication stations, and missile batteries throughout the region. In a very short period, they have constructed these from sandbars and shoals. These islands can adversely impact the free flow of oil from the Middle East, particularly to Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, the Philippines, and Russia. Maritime air patrol and the identification of high-interest ships and their intent is an important mission for the U.S. Navy. In order to loiter on station, the No. 1 engine is often shut down and feathered. This is a Soviet destroyer in the Bay of Bengal in the 1970s. During Vietnam, P-3s were used to find and track ships infiltrating men, weapons, and ammunition to the south by way of the South China Sea. When found, destroyers were sent out to eliminate a threat. The Malaysian 777 that mysteriously disappeared in 2014 needed very long-range aircraft to search the area very far from Australia. The P-3 was called upon to do that and for many weeks searched for the aircraft. Coordination with surface ships from many different countries was important in this mission. After being observed firing on merchant vessels near the Libyan port of Misrata, using a Maverick missile, a Libyan Coast Guard vessel was attacked by a U.S. Navy P-3 Orion in March 2011. On February 4, 1971, an Orion P-3C set a world horizontal flight altitude record for the heavy turboprop class of 45,018 feet. The distance record was from Naval Air Station Atsugi, Japan to Naval Air Test Center Patuxent River, a distance of 7,010 miles. The flight took 15 hours and 32 minutes to complete. It also set a new record for speed over a straight course of 501 miles per hour. There is no sound for this clip, but it will demonstrate the raw power of the T-56 turboprop engines in climb performance. The Norwegians like to take the aircraft to the very edge of its capabilities. Notice how much roll there is at the top.
Ja, det var skick.
Captain Larry Getzfred was the highest-ranking officer killed at the Pentagon on 9/11. He served with honor and he is recognized with a commemorative brick at the Veterans Memorial Park in Sun City.